Welcome back to day 19 of the 100 horror films in 31 days. I got in I think five films today. A number of streaming watches today. First up, we've got 13 Ghosts, 2001's 13 Ghosts, directed by Steve Beck, who unfortunately his only other directorial effort was the horrendous Ghost Ship. I mean, that's one of the worst movies of the modern era. I think just terrible, terrible. This film stars Matthew Lillard, who I kind of like him. He was in the Scream movie. He's kind of entertaining, and I think in this movie, he's very hammy. Either love him. I think he's one of those love him or hate him type deals, but. Uh, he's part of a paranormal investigator or a family that inherits this house that houses these 12 ghosts. And basically, the ghosts are terrorizing this group with Matthew Lillard kind of running around playing the comic relief. It's pretty good. I mean, it's nothing great. Um, I thought the special effects and the makeup was good. There are some genuinely creepy moments in this. I don't. It's not one that I would rush out and buy the Blu-ray for. I don't think I'd want to rewatch it, but I liked it. Okay, it's 6 out of 10. It's certainly a step up from Ghost Ship. Oh my God. Next up is I think it's an Argentine film, Terrified, 2017. And this was Damien Rugna who directed this. I watched it on Shudder, and this is my second watch. This film is genuinely creepy. Really, really good. I enjoyed it the second time more than the first time. There's a number of jump scares in it, but I think the jump scares work. I'm not really anti jump scare. Uh, if it makes sense in the story and it's not just a jump scare for the sake of a jump scare, which is kind of hard to. It's a very subjective thing, but I feel like the jump scares were inherent in the story. Then I'm good with it. Uh, but yeah, this is a genuinely creepy film. Basically, you got this neighborhood. Essentially, it's two houses, and you've got this creepy goings on in this one house, and next door you've got a cop that's doing the investigating, including some paranormal investigators, and they find this dead boy sitting at a kitchen table. Um, it's it's very very creepy. Gets under your skin. I really enjoyed it. I give it a 7 out of 10. Good stuff. Highly recommend that. Terrified 2017. Next up, a classic. Robert Wien's directorial, I don't think it's his debut, but 1920s Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. What a classic film. It's a 10 out of 10. It is the film that, I mean, people make a lot of hay out of the influence of certain films, and this film was probably the most influential in terms of German expressionism. When you hear that term German expressionism, this film pretty much is the standout for what they mean by that term. Maybe not. Maybe throwing in Nosferatu as well, Murnau's Nosferatu. I listened to the commentary track on this, David Collat, and it's very good. He talks a lot about the the metaphors within the movie or people's modern interpretations of this film, uh, which I think kind of goes overboard. You've got the doctor that kind of Caligari that kind of controls Conrad Veidt, the somnambulist, and one stands for German imperialism, and the other stands for the people that go out to fight the war, which was the somnambulist. I think we're stretching things a bit with all these interpretations, but it's certainly a fascinating film. It's all done in these sets that are there may be one or two actual realistic looking sets. The rest of it is just this fantasy world of twisted windows and odd shapes and odd angles. To me it's a movie that's way ahead of its time. And for 1920, it's a film that I think is surprisingly progressive. It's a risk-taking film. I think the writers and the producer of the film, I think Palmer was his name. They were like unsure of what this was going to do, but that's what to me what art is art is like, taking risks and being ahead of the time. And sometimes the audience for this time period might not appreciate it, but yeah, it's just a fantastic film. This Eureka release is just pristine. You would think this was made in a few years ago. I mean, it's just a beautiful, spotless print. Fantastic. Highly recommend this. This is must ownership for any Blu-ray collection. I give it a 10 out of 10. Next up is The Autopsy of Jane Doe, 2016. This is another one that I've watched a number of times. Andre Overdal is a Norway director who also did Troll Hunter. Troll Hunter may be the only found footage film that I really like. I can't say that. I mean, I guess you could consider Cannibal Holocaust found footage. I like that one a lot. I'm not a big fan of Blair Witch Project. That's another film I think, unless you were of the time, and it kind of resonated with you. I mean, it's okay, but I think it's way overrated. Way overrated. I like Troll Hunter as far as found footage. I thought it was very cool. Anyway, Autopsy of Jane Doe is a simple storyline. You've got some pathologists, a father-son pathology team working on this girl that was brought in. And the first 2/3 of the film are them going through and investigating and taking the body apart and finding all these odd things going on. It doesn't sound like much, but it's really fascinating. I was just totally hooked on it, and every time I've watched it, I've been totally hooked on it. The final act, the first time I watched it, the final act I thought didn't live up to the first 2/3, and now I kind of feel differently. I think the final act worked. I like the build up better. Still, I like the build up better than the climax, but still, overall, I think this is a fantastic film, and I give it a 7.5. I could easily go 8 on that. Autopsy of Jane Doe, very good film. Next up, I think my last watch of the day was 2001's Dagon Vestron release. This was the pick of the day, and this is a Lovecraft adaptation directed by Stuart Gordon about some fish people, and this couple gets stranded on this island with these fish people. I think this film takes a lot of flack because of the CGI and the special effects, but I actually think it stands up. I think it's good. I enjoyed it a lot, and I enjoy it more with each watch. I think this is more like my 4th time watching the film, and each time I watch it, I enjoy it more and more. Very good film. 7 out of 10. Definitely recommend Dagon. All right, that's going to do it for day 19. I appreciate you watching.